The coastline shudders, a flash, then another. Concrete shatters under the weight of 5,000 pounds. Dust and debris rise in clouds that smell of scorched earth and molten metal. Ships moored in the distance rock as waves ripple from the shock. Somewhere, a missile launcher buried in the mountainside vanishes into a crater, leaving only twisted steel and fractured rock. From the deck of a patrolling A-10, pilots glance at screens. Coordinates blink. Another site marked. They line up, release, and the GBU-72 drops. Silence. A tremor. Smoke curling like a snake over the coast. The strait, normally a ribbon of calm blue water, now echoes with destruction. Hours earlier, Iran's fast boats had darted in and out, missiles ready, threats everywhere. Anti-ship batteries perched on the hills, road mobile, invisible until unleashed. They could have locked the strait, controlled trade, choked oil flow, but the U.S. struck first. Hard, precise. Underground tunnels no longer safe. Iran's long-range cruise missiles, handicapped before they could fire. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most strategic waterways, has been cracked open. For now, ships can move, or at least they should. And the weapon that made this possible, the GBU-72, has never been seen in action like this before. The Strait of Hormuz is narrow, just over 20 miles at its tightest. Water teeming with merchant ships, oil tankers stretching end to end, carrying roughly 27% of the world's maritime oil. One misstep, one missile, and the price of oil spikes. Chaos follows. Iran knows this. For years, its regime has used fast boats, speedboats armed with sea-skimming missiles, to dart between shipping lanes. A sudden flash of white hull, a streak across a radar, and a ship is at risk. Harassment tactics, psychological pressure. But the real danger lies inland, hidden. Anti-ship cruise missiles like Ghadir, Qadar, and Abu Mahdi are mounted on trucks, road mobile, often concealed in tunnels or mountain bunkers. Ranges from 12 to 621 miles. Entire strait covered. From the coast to the entrances. Nothing moves without potential threat. Previous U.S. operations had limited options. Targeting fast boats is straightforward. The A-10 Warthog patrols, strafes, tracks. Air superiority keeps the waterway somewhat safe. But underground launchers, standard bombs, even 2,000-pound bunker busters struggle to reach them. Hardened entrances, mountains, reinforced concrete, all shields for Iran's missile infrastructure. U.S. military planners needed a solution that could neutralize Iran's capacity without waiting for a missile to appear. Destroy the launchers, the missiles become irrelevant. Stockpiles alone aren't a problem if there's no way to fire them. By mid-March, CENTCOM confirmed the strike. Multiple 5,000-pound GBU-72 bombs unleashed against Iran's coastal missile sites. The aim was precise: secure the strait, remove the long-range threat, and restore confidence for commercial shipping. Iran's blockade tactics had already slowed traffic dramatically. Average ships per day fell from over 100 to just 3 or 4. Mines, drones, fast boats, and cruise missiles combined to choke one of the globe's most critical energy arteries. The world noticed. Oil prices surged. Every missed transit, every delayed shipment reverberated from Asia to Europe. The problem wasn't just military, it was economic, strategic, political. Iran had found a leverage point. The U.S. needed more than tactical superiority. It needed to dismantle Iran's ability to threaten the strait permanently. And that's why this strike matters. Not just bombs dropped, not just explosions, but control regained over a choke point that can swing global markets with a single launch. Word count, 350. This sets up the stakes. Geography, Iran's tactics, strategic importance, and why standard military options weren't enough. If you're ready, I can move to the analysis/deep dive next, where we break down missile threats, bunker buster technology, and deployment strategy in detail. Do you want me to proceed? Tibro 130. Great, now we move into the analysis/deep dive section. This is the core of the script, 1,000 to 1,250 words, where we examine the weapons, Iran's threats, U.S. strategy, and implications in detail. I'll break it into 4 key aspects for clarity while keeping a vivid human narrative style with action, sensory details, and abrupt rhythm. Analysis slash deep dive, 1,200 words. 1. Iran's coastal threats. The sun beats down on the Strait of Hormuz. Waves lap against the hull of a stationary tanker. In the distance, fast boats slice through the water, white foam trailing. Each boat carries missiles, each a potential catastrophe. Radar operators track them, cross-check, call coordinates. Fast boats are dangerous, agile, hard to hit, but they're short-term problems. The real danger lurks on land, hidden, mobile. Iran's anti-ship cruise missiles, Ghadir, Qadar, Abu Mahdi, rest on trucks, sometimes concealed in tunnels dug into mountainsides. They need roads, entries, exits. They need the surface. But from those positions, their ranges cover almost every inch of the strait, from the entrances near Oman to the Persian Gulf coastline. Hormuz 2 and Gulf ballistic missiles add another layer. Designed to strike moving ships using satellite guidance, ranges up to 186 miles. Fast boats? Minor nuisances compared to these. Even large naval vessels with layered defenses face risk if these launchers survive. Before March 17th, Iran had effectively choked the waterway. Mines, drones, and missile threats had reduced daily transit from over 100 ships to 3 or 4. Insurance premiums skyrocketed. Oil prices flirted with $100 per barrel repeatedly. Iran's calculus was clear. Control the strait, pressure the world, leverage U.S. concessions. 2. U.S. military problem. Targeting the missiles directly in the air is possible. The A-10 Warthog patrols, strafes fast boats, destroys visible threats. But hidden launchers? Too deep. Standard bombs, even conventional 2,000-pound bunker busters, can't reach the reinforced tunnels and mountainsides. Destroy the missile stockpiles alone, and it's temporary. Replenishment is possible. Destroy the launchers? Permanent disruption. This is why the GBU-72 entered the picture. Deep penetrating, GPS-guided, 5,000 pounds. Designed to reach hardened underground targets, the entrances, tunnels, and bunkers themselves. The GBU-72 isn't just a bigger bomb. Its BLU-138/B warhead, combined with a JDAM guidance kit, allows standoff deployment. Pilots can release it from miles away. Inertial navigation plus GPS ensures accuracy even if the target is buried. Concrete, reinforced soil, mountainsides, nothing stops it. The strike is surgical, precise. Damage concentrated on tunnels and entrances, the functional lifelines of Iran's missile systems. 3. First use and strategic significance. March 17th may have marked the first operational use of the GBU-72 in the Strait of Hormuz. Hal Kemper, a retired Marine intelligence officer, notes it. Not that I'm aware of. This is the first time I think this particular one had been used. The U.S. had tested the weapon since 2021. Released from F-15Es in trials later shown on B-1 bombers, each B-1 can carry up to 12 GBU-72s externally, delivering maximum firepower in one sortie. F-15Es carry fewer, but strike fast, clear initial threats. Together, they combine volume and precision. Reports suggest up to 48 GBU-72s may have been deployed across multiple sites. Each hit targeted tunnels, bunkers, and launchers. Iran's anti-ship missiles rendered ineffective. Launch capability denied. Fast boats? Still a nuisance, but manageable. The strait's chokehold? Broken. Some dispute exists. CBS News reported in May 2024 that the GBU-72 had previously struck Houthi compounds in Yemen, also Iranian-backed proxies attempting to disrupt maritime traffic. The parallels are striking. Strategic choke points, underground launchers, proxy actors. Iran has faced the weapon before. It could do nothing then, and now it faces it at home. 4. Deployment mechanics and tactical execution. How did the U.S. deliver these bombs? Likely a combination. B-1 bombers, long-range, heavy payload, fly from RAF Fairford, Britain, 5,281 miles round trip, carry dozens of GBU-72s, drop in concentrated salvos, F-15E, Strike Eagles, agile, lower payload. Could conduct initial reconnaissance, suppress air defenses, or hit high-value targets alongside B-1 strikes. Operation Epic Fury demonstrates combined arms execution, intelligence gathering, precise targeting, air supremacy, strategic timing. Pilots release bombs. Craters form. Dust rises. Iran's underground facilities exposed. Roads, tunnels, entrances destroyed. Missiles grounded before firing. Explosions echo across the hills. Smoke curls over the coast. Merchant ships cautiously sail past, engines churning, wakes long in the calm blue water. The strait is technically open, but the message is clear. Iran can no longer control this choke point without suffering catastrophic losses. The strategic calculus is twofold. Immediate tactical effect. Remove missile launch capability, secure shipping lanes. Long-term deterrent. Demonstrate U.S. ability to strike hardened underground targets with precision, making future attempts to block the strait highly costly. The GBU-72 is not just a bomb. It's a message. Precision, depth, inevitability. Iran's ability to threaten commerce has been neutralized, not by surface engagement, but by targeting the very infrastructure that enables the threat. The Strait of Hormuz is more than a stretch of water. It is a global artery. Every day oil flows from the Persian Gulf to Asia, Europe, and beyond. Disruption doesn't just affect regional trade, it reverberates through world markets. By neutralizing Iran's missile launchers, the U.S. restored movement, but the implications go far beyond the immediate military victory. First, the strike sends a clear message. Underground defenses are no longer safe from precision strikes. Iran has spent decades investing in tunnels, bunkers, reinforced hillsides, and mobile launchers. The GBU-72 and associated strike packages bypass surface defenses entirely, hitting the functional lifeline, the entrances, the access points. For any nation considering using hidden coastal missiles to coerce trade or leverage energy markets, the calculus has changed. What was previously a credible deterrent is now vulnerable. Second, this operation demonstrates strategic leverage through technological superiority. Instead of engaging in open naval battles, the U.S. used advanced munitions to disable the threat at its root. Fast boats can be neutralized with conventional air power. Mobile launchers, buried deep, require innovation. Here, the deep penetrating GBU-72. It is a reminder that control over critical choke points increasingly depends on precision, intelligence, and long-range strike capability, not just sheer numbers. Third, there is a historical echo. The world has seen choke points like the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, and the Malacca Strait used as strategic levers. In each case, disruptions ripple far beyond the immediate region. Iran's attempt to control Hormuz mirrors these historical lessons, but the U.S. response illustrates how modern technology can counter threats efficiently, minimizing wider conflict while still reasserting control. Finally, the political dimension cannot be ignored. The U.S. has demonstrated resolve, signaling to allies and adversaries alike that attempts to blockade vital trade routes will meet with decisive action. Iran's partial reopening of the strait underlines that pressure can yield compliance, but only if backed by credible military capability. The operation also reinforces the need for coalition and intelligence support, as NATO allies and regional partners weigh participation in maritime security. Lessons for the future. Controlling the seas is no longer about sheer naval presence alone. Underground facilities, mobile launchers, and asymmetric tactics are vulnerable when precision-guided munitions and intelligence converge. Nations that attempt to hold global trade hostage may find their strongest defenses neutralized before a missile ever leaves its silo. The Strait of Hormuz is open, but the world has seen a new paradigm of maritime control emerge, one where technology, precision, and strategic foresight determine who truly holds power over critical choke points. The Strait of Hormuz has always been a choke point, a narrow corridor where global commerce meets geopolitical tension. For decades, Iran relied on fast boats, mobile missiles, and underground bunkers to assert control. On March 17th, the U.S. changed the rules. With the first operational use of the GBU-72, hardened missile launchers were destroyed, tunnels collapsed, and the strait's control shifted. This isn't just about bombs, it's about strategy. Precision strikes, deep penetrating munitions, and calculated deployment of air power show that modern military capability can neutralize threats before they materialize. Iran's attempts to leverage the strait, once effective, now face a stark reality. Infrastructure matters as much as weaponry. The lessons extend beyond Hormuz. Choke points, underground defenses, and mobile arsenals, once considered secure, are vulnerable to foresight, technology, and intelligence. Global trade, energy security, and regional stability depend on those who understand this balance. For now, ships can move. The strait is open. But the message is clear. Control over strategic waterways is won not just by presence, but by precision, planning, and the ability to strike where it matters most. The next moves will define regional power, and the world is watching.